All right, good afternoon, and thank you for joining us. Hello, my name is Aaron Dickinson from ShowingTime, and today we will be going through some fast stats reports that you get through New Jersey Realtors. I became a realtor and licensed agent in 2003 and was actively practicing for over 10 years. The tools that we're going to go through today are tools that I've used in my own business. I am still a realtor and licensed in California and Minnesota, but I'm not currently practicing. As we go through here today, if you have any questions, please feel free to enter those in, and I'll either answer those during our session or connect with you afterwards. We will be recording this webinar, and everyone will get an email copy of it later today. So today's discussion, we're going to give you just a little bit of background on the reports, and then we're going to go through and demo those fast stats reports and discuss them and talk about some usage cases and some interpretation. And then we'll wrap up with any questions. So a quick bit of background for you on these reports. These reports are based off of MLS data throughout the state. We combine all of the MLSs together to generate these reports. We are going through and doing a deduplication process on that because sometimes a listing may be entered in multiple MLSs. So we do that, and then we produce these reports based off of MLS data. And it's solely MLS data because, of course, as we know, that's the gold standard. The reports that we're going to be looking at are updated each month, and that data is pulled on the 20th of the month, and then the reports will be updated on the website about the 24th to the 25th of each month. And it's important to know that MLS data sometimes gets revised in the future, and so any subsequent reports we publish will always show the most recent information available via the MLS. And if you happen to be a data nerd like me, you may want to go ahead and run your own reports in your MLS and compare those to the reports you're going to see. And oftentimes those numbers won't match. Very commonly, 99.9% of the time, I would say, it's because one of these reasons. In most cases, it's because we're not looking at this exactly the same data. You pulled it at a different time. We have different filters set up. The fact that we're combining MLS data together and then duplicating that. So we may be seeing more data than you're getting from your single MLS. So those are reasons why that information might not quite match a report that you may run yourself. Alrighty, so now that we got through that background, we're going to hop right in and look at these reports. To access these reports, you can go to the New Jersey Realtors website, and under the research section, there's this monthly housing market statistics. And down here at the bottom, I just want to make you aware, we have a couple of videos that are updated both quarterly and then a monthly report that give you just a quick few-minute summary of the housing stats in the market. And they go through a lot of the stats that we're going to be talking about today, but they do it in a very friendly video format. And so I do encourage you to take a look at these, what we call monthly and quarterly skinny videos. So those are at the bottom of the page there. And then the PDF reports we're going to look at, we have a couple options. We can look at the public version, which is just the state and county reports, or we can look at the realtor-only version, which includes municipality reports. So when you click on that link, you're going to be asked to enter in your login information, and when you do that, you will get this website. So are people hearing me right now? I'm getting some varied response on that. I've got a couple people saying they cannot hear. Can someone confirm they can hear me? Okay, thank you people for saying you can hear me. I apologize if someone cannot. Obviously they can't hear me apologize though either. Alrighty, so as we continue back through, So here we have the FastStats reports. Now, the idea here is we've got an easy to access and navigate website with both a map navigation as well as an area drop-down tool. So if you want to access a specific report, you can come over into this area drop-down and find it in this list, or you can use the map to navigate to it. So we can click into a county, and then we can click on the municipality that we want to pull up. And so we will do Newark. And so this is a local market update for that city. Now, this data is now split out into several different categories. We have single family, townhouse and condo, and adult community. And under each of these splits, we have the key metrics that we're familiar with: new listings, closed sales, days on market, etc. And we're looking at that as April of this year versus April of last year. And then that percent change year over year. And then the same thing for year to date this year, year to date last year, and that percent change year over year. Now, when looking at this, some things to keep in mind. Number one, the size of the city that you're looking at will definitely determine, how large these numbers will be. In some of the smaller communities, you're going to end up with pretty small numbers on a monthly basis. The other thing is too that monthly numbers can oscillate quite a bit just simply because of weather events, what's going on in the world today. Sometimes sales activity can go up and down. So the monthly data is definitely key to look at, but I also think it's very important to look at that year-to-date information as well, because what that'll do is it'll help smooth out those trends over time and give you a little bit larger view of what's going on in the market. So if we were to look, for example, new listings were up in April, but they're down slightly for the year-to-date figure. And if you'll notice, all of these monthly figures vary quite a bit when you look at it from that year-to-date standpoint. So I think both are important because it's good to know what happened very recently, but it's also good to be able to put that into context as to what's happened so far this year. And again, we've got that split up now. So we're looking at the single family stats, townhouse, condo, and adult community separately. And this is a great example here. In some communities, there's going to be a lot of adult community homes. And so you'll have high figures there. And then sometimes you're going to see very low numbers. And then at the bottom here, we have the last 7+ years here of the historical median sales price. And we're showing that difference between single family, townhouse, condo, and adult community. Now, what's great about the FastStats reports is that these local market updates work for any of the communities you see in the state, and they all are formatted exactly the same. So I can look at the municipality level, or I can look at a county report, and they're all formatted identically. It makes it very easy to reference this information every month, take a look at it, and just drill into what key stats you're curious about, and pull out what you need to, and then move on. It also makes it very easy to compare what's going on between different areas. And so for either for yourself or for your client, you can pull up different reports, compare and contrast those areas based off of their activity, and then of course also based off of things like price, and help educate yourself as well as your clients as to those differences that exist. Because as we know, going across the river, going from one county line to another, we see some dramatic changes in price points, in styles of housing and everything, and that can dramatically affect a buyer's affordability. So again, we can go into any of these counties and access any of these reports. We can also pull up that county report, or in this case, we can look at a full state report, and I'll show you that here in a couple of minutes. We can also pull up some historical reports. And so by default, the website's always going to serve up the latest report available. But if you wanted to go back in time and see what was going on in, say, July of 2014, we can come in here and we can pull up that report. And now we're looking at the report from, almost 4 years ago. So all those reports, again, are available in that time period drop down. So the FastStats reports, again, the concept there, it's a one-page report, gives you everything you need to know in that area in just a very quick summary. The monthly indicators report is a little bit more in-depth. And so the idea with this report is we're actually looking at the entire state, but we're going to look at all of the key stats in more detail and really help reveal those underlying trends that are going on in the market. So this report as well is updated once per month. The first page you'll see here, we have an intro paragraph and an outro paragraph that kind of set the scene for what's going on in the housing market in general. And then we have key stats here in the middle. We have a snapshot here where we show the percent change year over year in closed sales, homes for sales, and median sales price. Oops, sorry, my scroll got a little crazy there. And then the next 3 pages, what we do is we actually break out the market into those 3 categories again, single family, townhouse, condo, and adult community. And then we're looking at all of the key metrics in each of those categories and looking at those trends over the last few years here. So we're looking at new listing activity here, and we can see since 2015, the historical trend on that. It's very obvious to see those seasonality trends that we know are in the market. We can also see the most recent April of this year versus April last year, that percent change year over year. And then those year-to-date figures as well. Same kind of concept as what we saw in those local market updates, but now we're looking at the entire state of New Jersey. And so again, we've got all of those metrics here included, and it gives you a really nice snapshot of what's going on in the townhouse condo market versus what's going on in single family or adult community. And you get to see, again, that seasonality, that overall trend over time, et cetera. So those first 4 pages are kind of neat. If you just wanted a quick summary of what's going in the market, you could print out page 1, 2, 3, and 4. And you've got a quick little summary of the top line kind of concepts of what's going on. The next pages take a single metric and then they break it out into more detail. So we've got, for example, our pending sales, and it'll tell you how that metric is counted. And then we're looking at April of this year for single family versus last year and the year prior. We see both the actual pending sale counts as well as that percent change year over year. And then we can see that again between single family, townhouse, condo, and adult communities. And then again repeated with year to date. And so just like I was talking about with those local market updates, I think it's key to look at not only what's going on in the month, and it's really nice to be able to compare month to month, but I think it's also important to see how that might vary between months and year to date. Obviously, because again, things come up and sometimes just one month can be a little bit out of line from the rest. Down here at the bottom, we're showing the last 7+ years here of historical activity for pending sales. And again, you see all of that seasonality that we know so well in the market. But that trend is clearly to the upside, which is great, of course. And then over here on the right, we actually have the last 12 months worth of history in specific counts. So you can look to see what's happened in each month and see what that value was for that month. And again, we've split those out between those 3 categories of housing. So we've got these reports, these different pages. Again, 1 metric per page. I think the key here is to just take your time and to look at each individual metric and give it a few minutes and just really kind of look through it and try to absorb this stuff. There's a lot of information here. And so part of this is definitely an interpretation, and not everyone will look at these things and see the same thing. When I look at percentage of list price received, I'm looking at these trends, and the trends are obviously that sellers are getting more and more of their price each year. That trend is definitely up. And I can see that that is a long-term historical trend and that it really started to kick in here in 2013. I see that adult communities were lagging a little bit, but are now right in line with the rest. So I can see from here that as a seller, this is telling me it's a good time to be a seller. And there's other metrics that do the same thing, but they each tell the story in a little bit different way. This is telling you on pricing power, how much leverage does the seller have? And the closer and closer you get to that 100%, obviously the better and better that market is for those sellers. And we can, look over here and see days on market. And this is also, these are all interrelated stats. Your sales and your inventory affect your days on market, and that affects buyer demand, or buyer negotiations, and sellers counter negotiations, which affects your percentage of list price received. And so these are all indicators that kind of play together. One of the indicators that we have here that you may be unfamiliar with is called our Housing Affordability Index. And the idea here is that housing costs are more than just the price. Housing costs include things like the mortgage, and it also includes the idea of affordability being based off of household income. So what we do is we take those three things and we combine them together. We take the median sales price of the home, the median household income of the area, and then the prevailing mortgage rates to say how relatively affordable are homes over time. And so the idea here with the Housing Affordability Index is just to see that trend. I don't worry too much about the specific numbers, but I like to look at that trend over time. And so in this case, what we're seeing is that housing affordability in general has declined a little bit over the last couple of years. We see our inventory of homes, months supply. And then the last page here is our total market overview. This shows you basically that it's like those first 3 pages that we saw, but now we're combining all the properties into a single report. Now, in terms of what are leading and lagging indicators, if you think about market stats and when's the next market change happening, month's supply of inventory is going to be something that'll be a leading indicator, because that's going to tell you how much relative supply there is based off of demand. And so you could have a situation where the number of homes for sale is still going up, but because buyer activity is going up as fast or faster, the month's supply of inventory may still be going down. And so in that case, it's still a healthy market for sellers. It's still things are still strong. Whereas you could also have a situation where buyer activity is down, inventory is down, but that buyer activity is down so much more that your month's supply of inventory starts to creep up. And so, the general rule of thumb is that a balanced market is somewhere around that 5 to 6 months worth of inventory. That can be a little bit different depending on the area you're in. And, it's just a general rule of thumb. But if you want to see where the market's going to go in the future, that's a place to look, is that month's supply of inventory, because that's going to give you a little bit of a leading indicator as to what's going to happen. And if we're to go back here and look at prices as well, the thing with prices is that those are going to be a little bit of a lagging indicator too, because if you think about the process of buying and selling, by the time the house is closed, it's been several months already in activity. So prices will always be trailing as an indicator, simply because they're the last thing that'll get recorded, prices and closed sales. So if you want to see what's going on most currently, you're going to look at your pending sales, for example, and your new listings as well. And again, historical reports are available. We can go back all the way to September of 2012. So those local market updates are really, they can be at the city level as well as the county level, and they give you a sense of what's going on in that community. It's a one-page report that gives you a nice little snapshot of what's happening locally. And again, I think it's really important to look at both the monthly numbers as well as the year-to-date. And then your monthly indicators report is your 50,000 foot view of the market and is really trying to give you an overall understanding of the trends that are happening at at your regional level. And I think that with these reports, it's not about yourself or your clients seeing and using every page of these reports. It's about pulling out the information that's important to you. And so with some clients, they're very heavy information nerds like me, and they want to see a lot of this data, so I'm going to provide them with a lot more information. With others, we're going to want to only provide just maybe a page or two just to show overall trends and to explain the general information we need. The key with these stats is that this gives us the opportunity to speak the same language with our clients and give them some of that context of what prices and activity have done and where things might be going in the near term, and help give them the experience that we have every day when we're out there selling, but they don't have because they're not in the market like we are. So that's the hope, is that we can share these stats and impart that kind of information. But again, it's really about tailoring your usage of this to what fits the needs of you and your client. Alrighty. Questions. If you have questions, please feel free to fill those out, and I'm going to be going through those questions now. I have several people here who have wanted to see how to access these reports, and I will be happy to hop back to that. Alrighty. So again, to access these reports, you're going to go to the New Jersey Realtors homepage, click into Research, and go to Monthly Housing Market Statistics. And then you can click on this Public and State County Reports link, and this will take you to a public version of the reports, and this will give you the county level reports and the statewide report. If you click in on the, hang on here, there we go. If we click on the realtor only municipality reports, that's going to require you to log in. And when you log in, that'll give you access to the private version of the stats, which includes not only the county and monthly indicators, but it also includes the municipality data as well. But you do have to log in to get to that. At what point should you be using these reports with your clients? It really depends on your relationship and your comfort with the clients. You can use some of these reports at open houses, for example. You could have a fast stats report for that community on the backside of a brochure. You can use these, I like to use them in buyer and seller consultations to help kind of set the stage for what's going on. You can also use this kind of information and talk about this online when you're posting blog posts, etc., Facebook status updates, discuss what's going on with the housing stats. So it's also something that sometimes comes up just in elevator talk. People always ask, how's the market? Well, you don't have to pull out the brochure. If you know the numbers, you can just speak from your own knowledge and just talk about what's going on. Well, it was a really good month. Sales were up 20%. Prices are solid and rising, and then talk about your own experiences personally too. Interject in there. I had 3 clients go under contract this week, and I've got 3 buyers, and I can't find homes for them right now. That's the big struggle, or whatever your situation is. So you can pepper these stats into conversational situations as well as not just presentations. Another question is the raw data available? The raw data is not available, just the reports that you see in this format. How do you get to the monthly indicators? So again, I just want to hit this one more time just to make sure everyone caught it. So again, we're going to go to the New Jersey Realtors homepage. We're going to click on the Research tab and click on Monthly Housing Statistics. And then we're either going to log into the public version or to the Realtor-only municipality reports. When we do that, it's going to require us to log in. And then when we log in, we get to the FastStats website. From this FastStats website here, you can either access the FastStats local market updates through the map or through the dropdown. Or you can click on this monthly indicators tab here and then click on the dropdown to access a historical one, or just click on the state to access the full report. And so with that map, the idea is for the map, for the monthly indicators, you're only pulling up that state level report. But for the local market updates, the map allows you to pull up into a county and either pull up the county report or the municipality reports underneath it. Another question was, is the monthly indicators available for county or municipality? It is not. The system right now, the monthly indicators report is just for the state of New Jersey. That is our presentation. You are welcome to log off now. And again, you'll get a copy of this webinar via email here in just an hour or two. If you do have any other questions though, I'll be happy to stay online and answer those for you.